Hey, good morning, guys. It is July 7th. No, it is the 6th. Sorry. Um, Chambers is in Isaiah 35. And I really like this. He's talking about vision, God giving us vision, and then how that comes to pass, how God plays it out. You can, I was going to turn the other direction, but you can't really see the, uh, the scenery from there, but you can see it in the reflection right there. You can see the reflection of the mountains that I'm seeing as I'm turning this way. Really cool place that we're in this weekend, enjoying time with a bunch of young people and also just enjoying nature. It's really, really awesome here. The one thing, so Chambers talks about vision and reality, the vision that God gives us and then the reality that comes. One thing that stands out to me, not only in this passage and this study, but in, I would say, the entirety of Scripture, and I've said it before, maybe not in this study, but or in this podcast or these devotionals, but the binary nature of reality. And so, what I mean by that is God takes something that is really bad and disorderly and chaotic and ugly and messy, and He makes it beautiful, beauty for ashes. Um, um, Joy for despair. He takes things that are on one end of the spectrum, and it's not that God makes things good in in the worldly sense of good, like it's good enough. God never says good enough. There's no good enough. It's He takes things that are bad and messy and just a wreck, and He makes them good in God's sense, which is perfect. There's a few verses here in Isaiah 35. The other thing I'm realizing when you read through books like Isaiah, people are like, well, when is this prophecy? What is it speaking of? And a lot of these are speaking of the God bringing His people back to their promised land, kind of reestablishing covenant relationship with His people after He has had to give them over to an invading army to judge them of their sins and their idolatry. But the one thing that stands out to me is that these are recurring themes. So a lot of times these things that we see here, these images of God's restoration, are not a one-time thing. This is not just one point in history where He brought them back from the Assyrian captivity or the Babylonian captivity, or even bringing them back to their promised land recently. Or one thing that I noticed is that this is a recurring theme. This is the way God works. And so it's almost like the personality of God. This is just how it happens. When God restores something, He restores it from mess to beauty. And so Chambers is dealing with 35:7 today, but I'll read a few verses in front of that. But then will the eyes of the blind be opened? This is when God restores Israel. But not just Israel. This is also, think about this as when God finally restores order in the world, when He vanquishes sin permanently. Then will the eyes of the blind be opened and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then will the lame leap like a deer. It doesn't say then will the lame get up and walk. It's the lame will leap like a deer. Gone from lame to leaping like a deer. Again, this real two ends of the spectrum. Nothing in the middle. None of this good enough. He restores things good enough. Never good enough. Always complete. And the mute tongues shout for joy, not speak, but shout for joy. Water will gush forth in the wilderness and streams in the desert, not trickle, gush. The burning sand, one end of the spectrum, will become a pool. This pool, a pool sounds wonderful. That's what you want to just fall into. The thirsty ground, bubbling springs. In the haunts where jackals once lay, grass and reeds and papyrus will grow. So, that in mind, Chambers talks about vision, God giving us vision. And when God gives us vision, there's two things we can do. We can either, I'm sorry, I'm going long. Two things we can do. We can either take it into our own hands and try to do something with it and make a mess of it, or truly trust God to make something beautiful of it. And instead of the vision, he says, becoming real, there has been the valley of humiliation when we do something. Chambers says here, if we don't let it become real by trusting God in his own timing, in his own way to work this out to this kind of vision, the way Isaiah 35 talks about it, we'll mess it up. Every vision will be made real if we have patience. He is never in a hurry. We are always in such a frantic hurry. And then he says about having these visions of God, of what God's going to do in the lives of those we love. I think that's more important. I mean, like, what is he going to do for me? What is he going to do for me? What is he going to do for me? I think that's a really, we need to get away from that. What is God going to do for the people around me that he cares about, that he's placed me? Instead of, God cares about me, he wants to do something for me. God cares enough for the people in my life that he placed me there to do something for them, to do something to make their lives congruent with the vision that he's planted here. So ever since we had the vision, God has been at work, getting us into the shape of the ideal, and over again we escape from his hand and try to batter ourselves into our own shape. We try to do it on our own. He says here, if you've ever had the vision of God, you may try as you'd like to be satisfied on a lower level, but God will never let you. So it's always an encouragement to me that God does not settle. God never settles for good enough. The expression "good enough for government work" does not apply to God. So anyway, I would encourage you today. Those visions God gave you, not just for your life, but definitely for the people around you, what he wants you to do in the lives of the people around you. Give him time, be patient with him, but let him work it out. Don't try to take the reins. Don't try to take the steering wheel. Anyway, on that, guys, be encouraged. Have a great day.